program. And for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, welcome to our webinar, our virtual Zoom events that we've been conducting over the last 8-10 weeks. And we hope that you are all safe and sound, and that some of you are, I guess, kind of feeling a little less anxiety with little businesses opening up here and there. So looks like we're making some progress around the country, and in terms of the COVID-19, that is. Of course, our nation is facing some other adversities right now. But anyway, listen, folks, I wanted to really just tell you how grateful we are that you joined us this morning. And we've got a special guest speaker that has just joined us as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get started real quick. Let me just share my screen with you guys. Let's see here, get my screen going. And I got a few announcements, some things that I want to share with you. And then we're going to bring on our guest speaker, who is just an absolute dynamic individual. So first of all, I want to just say happy birthday this morning, or wherever this afternoon, depending on where you're at, to Kobe Isidro, who is out in Orlando, Florida, and it is his birthday today. So Kobe, just wishing you a happy birthday on behalf of our whole family and our team and our audience here this morning. So having said all that, just want you guys to know that this afternoon at 1:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's just in 2 hours. So we're going to go for about an hour and 15 minutes today, and then we'll give you a quick 45-minute lunch break. And then you're going to hopefully go to this place down here. Now listen, it's all in red, it's highlighted, and down below it says register at bit.ly at AFP-Fast Start. So make sure you guys register for this event. It's important that you do, because you won't be allowed into the room. You're also going to need a password, a passcode, or a password. And without registering, you're not going to get that. So make sure you register. Also, next week on Tuesday, I've got a very special guest who's going to be joining us at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just talking to you about some, great business ideas and things that people are doing that's working for them. And also just kind of talking with you of what you could be doing during this crisis and this stay-in-home orders. And so please tune into that. And of course, next week on Wednesday, June 3rd, I'm going to be doing an orientation for a lot of the new people who just recently started working with our firm, and we're excited that you're part of the family and part of the team. And then next Thursday, we've got some product training that many of you are asking about, product knowledge and product training. So we're going to do some product training next week, and we're going to show you, we're going to actually bring in one of our associates who just recently made, $94,000 on one transaction. That'll be next Thursday. You're going to hear from that guy and Ken DeSilva on how he just made $94,000 on one transaction. Okay. Now, without any further ado, I just wanted to let you guys know, as we're, facing some unprecedented times today, these uncertain, times, what do most people need, right? And so what most people need, in my opinion, right now is money. Most people need money. I mean, there's 10-20% of our country right now is out of a job, and we see that as businesses are opening up, and it'll be interesting what happens in Vegas and other, tourist attraction type places where people go and take their family, if they'll be even be able to stay in business. I'm hearing that in Las Vegas, many casinos may not even be able to open up. And if they do open up, their concern is that, Las Vegas is a huge tourist place, and people who go there, don't want to come there from around the world. So a lot of those casinos are really going to struggle. And that's not just in Las Vegas, but around the country. And so more and more people are going to need money. They're going to need cash flow, and they're going to need toilet paper. And of course, if you're looking at my background, you're going, oh my God, look at John. He's hoarding all the TP. And I just want you guys to know that I'm not. This is a green screen behind me, and I'm just putting that up there to just give you a chuckle. All right, now, so here's what I've recognized over the years, that there are many people who are asset rich and cash poor, and there's some people who are asset poor and cash poor, right? And interesting that the government right now is offering, during a time of crisis, money, right? I mean, they're offering $1,200, and my question is, where does this money really come from? Who's going to have to pay for it? Will the government have to print more money? Or, what happens if we do that? What happens to the value of the currency? So the idea is that people are so excited about $1,200, and if you're married, you might get $2,400. So what would $1,200 for you or others? And apparently it's a lot of money, and so it's going to do a lot. So my question is, if $1,200 is going to do a lot for you right now during a time of crisis, can you imagine what a side hustle or a business could do for people, right? Like if you actually started a business. One of my favorite slides, and I show this, and many of you probably have memorized it by now, but it says that if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, a new knowledge, or a new side hustle or business, then you never lacked time, but you lacked discipline, right? So it's important that you understand how discipline has such a huge part of your life and personal life, and your marriage and your relationships and your financial situation. So I want you to understand that we talked about discipline last week. People said, well, how do I get more discipline, John? And I did a whole episode on getting more discipline, which is now up on YouTube. So go to YouTube and you'll see it, and please subscribe and make some comments and share that with you, everybody. But I want you to know, for me, it really started back in 1996, or I started a business in 1995. And then I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is an absolute timeless classic book. And then now, today, you can actually get the unedited version on Amazon, which is this copy here. And then I actually, a few years ago, had an opportunity to make a movie on one of the 5 books in the history of mankind that has ever been written. There's 5 books that oversold over 100 million. That is a movie called Twilight Saga, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter. And then not in any particular order. And then, of course, the Bible. And all 4 of those have become a theatrical movie. But Think and Grow Rich, which has now sold over 200 million copies around the world, was never made into a movie. And I approached the Napoleon Hill Foundation with my team. We got the rights. We made this movie. And I just want you guys to know that we're going to be doing, get this, guys, we're going to be doing a complimentary movie night on Friday, June 5th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, I thought we were doing that 6:30, Oh, okay. Yeah, we started at 5:30 because I understand, well, actually, we're going to do 6:30. So let's change this to 6:30 instead, because I know people are still rolling in from work and getting off of work online. So we'll do 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Register now. There you go. Oh, that was a quick change. Thank you. And this complimentary. And I want you to watch this movie because during a time of crisis, during the Great Depression, Napoleon Hill actually wrote his book. So there's a lot that you can learn on what he discovered, how to handle people a crisis, and just so that we can help out in some way to help you cope emotionally, mentally, and just physically, financially, your circumstances. We're going to show this complimentary movie again, Friday, June 5th. Please get your family, your children, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, domestic partner, parents to watch this movie night. Pop some popcorn, get some hot dogs and pizza, and surround the TV and watch this epic film come to life, this book come to life on your screen. Okay, so that's June 5th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then, of course, several different series, a Black choice, a Latino choice, a women's choice, and all came out. And then, of course, I recently wrote the modern day version of it called How Rich Asians Think, sanctioned and approved by the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Of course, now I've got incredible people like Penny Oy, Jack Ma, Elon Musk, Farrell Wayne, Dwayne Johnson, Raja Dhaliwal, Steve Aoki, Jaime Villalovos, and Kevin Harrington, all featured in this book. Okay, so you can get it on Amazon and get the audio version as well. And then I went on a tour and I met some amazing people. And during my journey in speaking on massive platforms in front of 40, 50,000 people, I've shared the stage with Condoleezza Rice. The lady on the other side of that is my beautiful spouse. We've been happily married for 26 plus years now. And what an amazing business partner she is. Barbara Corcoran was also in my movie. We're doing some big things together. Martin Sheen and myself both sit on the Manny Pacquiao Foundation. We're doing stuff with Manny Pacquiao. Rob Dyrdek, also in my movie, Think and Grow Rich. Stedman Graham, Oprah Winfrey's significant other, spiritual partner, came to my house. He actually flew out from Chicago, and now we've got some great business things that we're working on together. So he came out to my house and spent an entire day with me. And I think we're going to have a shot at going up to Santa Barbara, hopefully when this pandemic is over, and meet with Oprah as well. So great things there. And that's me standing beside Stedman, because he's like 6'8" and I'm 5'8", so he's a whole foot taller than me. And that's the benefit of having some folding chairs there, right? Steve Aoki, also in my book, amazing man, individual, great story behind Steve Aoki, who's become an extremely good friend of mine. Mario Lopez, please go and listen to Mario Lopez on Listen to Mario. He's got a great podcast show, and we're now co-authoring a book together, right? A Latino guy and an Asian guy co-authoring a book about personal development and growth. And now we're co-hosting events around the country. And then, of course, last year I was knighted along with my wife by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen. And I just want you guys to know that all this happened for us because we started a business in the financial service industry, and we got in this industry because we feel that financial education is an absolute necessity. And the reason we know it's a necessity is because right now in 2012, our nation had 37 states teaching sex education. That's right, 37 states requiring sex education. Nothing wrong with that. I just feel that if our children are mature enough to understand sex education, then they should certainly be financially educated as well. Yet only 4 states highlighted in blue are the only 4 states in 2012 that teaches financial education right now. Just to give you an idea of the progress we're making in 2015, we added 1 state just below Tennessee, Alabama, and that took 3 years. And now here we are in the year 2020, 5 years later, we're making a little more progress here. And now we can count on both our hands how many states require financial education. We've added Iowa and North Carolina, yet one of the biggest probably populated state in the United States, which is California, still does not teach financial education, which for me, I don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So I hope as you're joining us today for the very first time that you understand that our business is built on the 6 foundations of increasing cash, 6 steps to financial security, which is increasing cash flow and managing your debt, creating an emergency fund, having proper protection, creating a long-term savings, and preserving your estate. And I think that one or more of these things are something that you probably need to get more education on, to get more information on. And maybe this could be an opportunity, as I said earlier, to start a business, right? Your new side hustle, as there is a huge demand today, right now, as we speak. There is no better time than right now to maybe go and get your licenses. Not maybe, you should get your licenses, get more educated, and learn about how money works. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get, if you want more information about this, get with the person who invited you today and get more details on how to make more money. And number 2 is how to understand how money works. Or perhaps you and I right now should probably get together and talk some more, you know? And I just want you to know that, you know, every once in a while that a new company will emerge out of an old industry and revolutionize that industry. And I think our company is that company in the financial service industry. So so just wanted to let you know, that's kind of like my whole infomercial commercial this morning. But I want you to understand how passionate I am about the financial service industry. And earlier, as I sat there and I talked to you guys about my book, Think and Grow, How Rich Asians Think, you know, wow, this person right here, if you look at my cursor, you'll see there's a young lady right here named Jaime Villalovos. And my wife and her connected, oh God, I don't know how many years, like maybe 19 years, or is it 21 years now? Maybe. Losing track of my track of thought. I think it was 21 years. And she was just a young gal out of Montana, Montana. And she grew up in a very small community, a very small community. And I think, you know, K through 12, she only had like less than 100 children in her school. But Jamie is one of those people that believed in the American dream and made a decision to come to California seeking new opportunities. And then, of course, you know, God works in mysterious ways, you know. And she and my wife connected. And then, of course, my wife introduced me to her. We got connected, and we've been working together since then. And now Jaime has become one of the most sought after speakers in the country today. One of the most incredibly, most passionate, most generous, most loving, most caring individuals I've ever met my entire life. She is a mother also, and not with many children, and I'm not sure if she's done. We'll find out maybe. But she also met her husband in the business, and her husband now are business partners. And I'll tell you what, she's commanded in a massive, massive financial distribution sales force around the country. She's got offices all around the country, all around the United States, and even growing into into Canada. And this morning she's joining us to share some wonderful nuggets with you. And so I'm excited to introduce you to Jaime Villalobos. So Jaime, good morning. How are you?
Hi. How are you doing? I'm excited to spend some time with you today, John.
Oh man, it's great seeing you. Are you home? Are you home now? Is that your backyard that we're looking at? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, my backyard behind me.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us. I know you're ultra busy and there's a lot going on today. So listen, Jaime, we've got a bunch of people here today, brand new people and some fans of yours as well. So tell us a little about you, and then maybe you can tell everyone a little bit about, you know, do you have a PowerPoint, or do you want to just talk freely, or do you want me to do some Q&A with you? What would you like?
Whatever you like. I did have a PowerPoint I was going to share, but like whatever you want to do, we can do.
Okay, let's do that. Why don't we get into your PowerPoint, Jaime, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end.
Okay, awesome. Well, I am excited to be here with you guys. I know some of you guys know who I am, and we've met and we spent some time, and then some of you guys have never met me before. I've been in the business with John for about 21 years. So it's been awesome. It's been exciting. John was the one who personally coached me in the beginning, and was a huge instrument in my success in business and other areas of my life as well. But for those of you guys that don't know me, here, I can see if I can pull up a PowerPoint here. I wanted to talk about, building a great business, but also that provides your dream life, because I see people who work very hard in business and they're really trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and they're frustrated most of the time. And in the end, it doesn't really provide you fulfillment and that dream life that you're so desiring for your family. And so people will always ask me, Jaime, how do you do it all? How do you have 4 little kids? I have 4 kids ages 4 to 14. So I have a 4-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 14-year-old. So I always have my hands full. And then, as John said, I have a business that has about 4,000 agents coast to coast in Canada. And sometimes I feel like I have like thousands of other little kids. So as we're building this business, it's always going to be, trials and challenges. And I know right now it's a very tough time. Right now we're trying to figure out, with this COVID-19 thing, how business is even going to run. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are hurting in a lot of different ways. We're hoping to get back into our offices, and I know people are kind of zombies on the Zoom right now with so many Zoom type calls. But no matter what, it's not going to be business as usual. It's going to be different. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, we're going to evolve, and we're going to become more of an online type of business as well, a hybrid. We're going to be already the fastest growing company in our industry, but it's going to continue to evolve and get better and better. I love that, we've proven that our business in this financial industry is recession proof and now pandemic proof. But it's still, it's still a lot of pain out there. And I know a lot of people that are under your leadership are probably struggling, not just financially, but, just mentally. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. And I know the last 3 days, I've spent a lot of time in leadership that has nothing to do with financial stuff. It's just they need someone to talk to because they're really just emotionally distraught. One is because they're in distress from being quarantined and not having enough physical contact for a while. But then with all the other stuff that's going on in the world right now, and they don't know really how to mentally cope with that. And so sometimes in leadership, it's just being able to be that mentally tough, strong person that's positive in other people's lives. But I know that from the very beginning, we've built our business in a way that we're not caught up in drama. We're not caught up in, the downtimes when business is low, and there's as an entrepreneur, there's always going to be your peaks and your valleys, and you're going to have to learn to climb from peak to peak, and you're going to have to learn to not be so emotional during the times when you're not making as much money, and prepare for those things. So I wanted to share with you kind of what we've done. You know, people, again, have been bombarding me with the last, I don't know, 72 hours of just, I need someone to talk to. I need to walk me through all of this. And I feel an honor that they would look at me as the strong person in their life, the person that is successful in marriage, in kids, in business. And I feel it a great privilege to be working in the lives of others. But I know that's because early on, we've put these things in place where now we have built this dream life and this dream business. So even though things are super chaotic, we're not that stressed. We're still, steadily helping others, leading others. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. How do you build your business that way? So for those of you guys that don't know me, John, mentioned that I grew up in a very small community, pretty small community. That shows the population of Medicine Lake, Montana, 225. That's people. That's not 225,000. That's 225, period. Right? So very little town with very small town thinking. That's the mobile home that I grew up in. He mentioned a K-8 school. We were the Medicine Lake Honkers. That was our mascot, the Honkers. If you don't know what that is, that's a Canadian goose. And then that picture in the bottom there, that's my graduating class. We had 18 people in my graduating class, and we had actually the biggest graduating class in that school. And so, it's interesting, you reflect on kind of how you grew up, and I'm grateful that I grew up in this small town. The values that were instilled, the time and attention that was, put on by the teachers and those things and those people around me, but there was no inspiration. There was no one that said, hey, look what you can have. You can dream bigger. I'm sure people said it, but no one believed it. Everyone kind of feels that, these are the hands we've been dealt and the cards we've been dealt, and that's it. Most people think I'm going to be a farmer just like my dad and just like his dad and just like my kids will be. And so right now in my state of Montana, it's the #1 state for suicide. The county that's right next door, the one that we had to combine combine kids to make a football team. So we're very close with them. But that next county where that's the #1 county for suicide. We're the #1 state for suicide. Why? Because there's a lack of hope. Because there's a lack of progression. And I know with the circumstances growing up that I probably should have just been a statistic. I probably should have been continuing to live in poverty like I grew up in. We grew up with welfare, and we grew up with food stamps, and no one in my family has ever been successful in anything. I don't know. I don't have an aunt or uncle that stayed married. So no one's been successful in marriage, or we grew up just kind of thinking that's the way things are. And I just remember thinking, I don't want this. I don't want to be, poor, worrying about, can we eat this winter? Can we have heat in our home this winter? And I remember several times waking up in the middle of the night, seeing my own breath because we didn't have heat. We couldn't afford propane. And so I'm telling you this because I want you to understand where I came from. And now I'm in the top, fraction of 1%. I think it's top 2% of 1% earners in the world. And as far as being a female, especially, that's so rare. And it's not by accident. And it's not because of any talent. It's definitely not because of luck. It's not because of who you know. It's just because of the basics principles I'm going to teach you right now. So it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter. It just matters, if you want to make a decision. And so you just need to make a decision that you want to be somebody, that you want to have a great life, that you want to be the architect of change for your family and your family's legacy, and change the direction of your family forever. So I'm going to go through a few things that I did. So number 1 was make a decision. That's what we did. I came in, I had this great opportunity that, we're in the highest paid industry that you can be in. I had great coaches like John and others that cared about me. And I didn't take this opportunity for granted, but I made a decision that if I'm going to be here, I don't want to just make a living. I don't want to just make a great living. I want to make a great life. I want to make a life that is recession proof. And I don't want to be at the mercy of the economy or a boss ever again. And so what I did was I'm just telling you, if you're going to be successful in anything, but especially in business, and especially a business that can provide you residual income and freedom, number 2 thing I would tell you to do is know your why. know your why and have a plan. So I remember coming into this business, a 22-year-old girl from Medicine Lake, Montana, working at a health club, Valley Total Fitness, and not knowing anything about leadership, not knowing anything about, financial anything. And John was my coach, and he said, "Hey, Jamie, let's meet up. We're going to meet at Islands Restaurant, and we're going to have lunch. And Arlene's coming." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I love Arlene. Let's go have lunch." And John and I sat down and we had burgers that day. And he handed me a sheet of paper, and it was an outline of a business plan. And he said, "Jamie, you need to know why you want this." And he didn't, I don't think, take me serious. I wouldn't. I was 22. I moved here from Montana to California. I had no market, no experience. He didn't think I was going to be his superstar, I'm sure. But he gave me this form of what are your whys. And he said, "Jamie, I want you to," this is the first thing he did with me. And I know that he learned that probably from Think and Grow Rich in that book. But he said, "You got to get clear on your whys." And so he said, "What are your top 10 whys?" And he said, "I want them to be non-monetary. So it can't be," I remember this conversation so clearly. "Do you do this with your people that are under your stewardship? Do you make them dig deep to figure out their whys?" Because the only true motivation comes from within. It doesn't matter how good of a speaker you are, or what great training you do, or what guest speakers you have on your Zoom meetings. None of that matters. They have to have the motivation from within, that they want it bad. And so that's what he was doing. He knew I was young. I didn't have kids yet. And I wasn't, truly motivated that way. So he made me dig deeper, and he said, "What are your 10 non-monetary reasons why you want to win in business?" And, it was a little tough for me at first. I didn't have kids, and, it was hard for me to come up with all 10. And honestly, I didn't know my why. It was actually number 8 on that list that I didn't even think of, but I was just trying to dig deep to try to find out, to fill it up so I could show him I did it. I wanted to show him I was coachable. I was going to do whatever he told me to do. And so I came up with my whys. And then I came up with the plan, and I wanted to impress John. So I made my business plan, and I came up with, my goals and dreams, and I turned it in all typed up, and he looked at it and he laughed at me. And some of you guys know John, he can be very direct, but he looked at my plan and he goes like this, and he threw it on the floor, boom, into the trash can. And he says, "No." He's like, because my business plan said I wanted to make $10,000 in a month. And he said, "No, you're thinking way too small." He said, "Look around you. Look what's possible." And he started to stretch my vision. He started to make me think bigger. He said, "Look around you." And I did. And I looked at the other females, and there wasn't a lot of examples, but there was one named Penny Oy who was making about $5 million a year. And she was a mom. And I was like, well, gosh, if she can make $5 million in 5 years, then so can I. And if John can make what he's making, and so can I. And so I redid my plan, gave it to John again. And he said, "Okay, now you're talking. Now you have something that's more emotional." And again, he told me to use all your senses, like in the book, Think and Grow Rich. And I gave my plan this time. And this time he sat with me and we back engineered a plan for me to be able to make a broker position promotion and to make a 6-figure income and replace my income and go full time. So number 2 is know your why and have a plan. Number 3, 100% honesty and integrity with everything that you do, with your clients, with your teammates, with anybody, with just your fellow man. I want to build a business that I never have to be looking over my shoulder. I never have to worry about will it come back to bite me? I want to be able to sleep good at night. I want to think about it. If you're building a business, especially a residual business like mine that pays multiple 7 figures, okay? I don't want to have something I did 20 years ago be a reason that I could lose it all. So no matter what, just always with 100% honesty and integrity as you build your business. And you guys, people will trust you, like you, refer you, and you'll never have to worry about where clients come from. Number 4 is serve others. Be service oriented. Be a servant leader to your teammates. Be trying to solve a problem in others' lives. And honestly, the more people you help get ahead financially, the more you're going to get ahead financially. Help people get what they want, and you're going to get what you want. Number 5 is constant self-development. Guys, the girl that you see now is not the girl that John saw when I walked through the door of his office. There's been so much self-improvement and personal development. And some of that is me in the beginning, just reading books and reading books and reading books. I never read a ton of books before I started in business. And when I started with John, I had to. I mean, you're getting paid what you're worth. And that might hurt. If you're making 50,000, you're getting paid what you're worth. Oh, you know, if you want to make 100,000, you have to learn and change and grow. And if you want to go from 100 to 250, you have to learn and change and grow. And if you want to get to 500 or a million or 2 million, you have to learn and change and grow. And and then sometimes personal growth is painful. Right now, we're in the middle of a trial. No matter who you are, no matter if your family's healthy and you haven't lost your job, I don't know if you understand this, but you're in the middle of a trial. You are feeling grief, and you may or may not know that. And so you're a little off. You're a little sad or a little angry, and you don't really know why. And so here's the thing. We're in the middle of trials. That's what life is all about, tests and trials, and you personally developing to become the person that you're meant to become. And so accept that, you know, you're not going to become this amazing leader and have this great business and be able to help others unless you go through these trials. So how you react right now is really a test. With all the stuff that's going on, there was a horrible murder the other day, and you know, it's hard to mentally cope with. But how you react to these things, if you are feeling these things, then stay away from the media right now. Stay away from the news. Stay away from even social media if you have to. Detox from the negativity. Stand for what's right, but detox from the negativity. Make a list of 25 things that you're grateful for right now. And then pick up another book. When's the last time you personally grew in an area that you need growth in? Associate with very positive people right now. People that are going to challenge you to be better and think bigger. Okay. Number 6, and continue to do that, by the way. It doesn't ever stop. Constant, never ending self-development. Number 6, have emotional stability. Okay. Some of you guys are like bipolar in your business, and that's not a good thing. Like when you're down, when things are down, or when you're down, when you're at the lowest point, that's how I know if someone's a true leader, because you won't be able to tell. They're always going to be kind of never too high, never too low. How they react to things, it's with emotional stability. And I hope you'll get that. I mean, like I said, as a leader, you need to be someone that's at least positive and upbeat, and an example to others at all times, not just when things are good. Number 7, monster work ethic and focus. The ability to work and focus. Geez Louise. You know, so I don't know why that is so hard for some people. Maybe it's going back to number 2 and you don't know your why, or you don't have a plan and you get so off so quickly. But you need to be able to work. Like your people will only do a fraction of what you do. So you need to be that example in leadership and work ethic, but the ability to stay focused, you know, when things are happening around you, and they will, you know, there's going to be death in the family. There's going to be trials that your children are going through. There's going to be stuff that's happening. And can you stay focused? Can you get the job done no matter what? You are a human being, for goodness sakes, who has the total capacity for growth and to increase your capacity to handle more things. Now, if you are too overwhelmed right now, take something off your plate before you put something else on. For goodness sakes, don't be a stressed out basket case. You can't lead anybody, and you're no good to your kids or your spouse either. But the ability to stay focused, to be able to do what you said you're going to do, that's a skill that everyone, I think, has to work on. You know, when someone told me one time, you know, they had worked in a restaurant. I think it was like Pickup Sticks or something. And then another one was Starbucks. And they came into our business and they said, Jamie, I just don't think I could do this. This is taking too much time away from God. That's what they said. And I said, wow, you know, this business is supposed to enhance your spiritual life. It's supposed to enhance your family life, all areas of your life. So you must be doing it wrong. It shouldn't take away and pull from. It should, you know, enhance. But let me ask you a question. She did not have kids yet. She was with a guy that she did want to start having a family. I said, let's say you started having kids, and you have 1 kid, maybe 2, whatever. And you say, gosh, you know, these kids are a lot of work. These kids are more than I thought, you know, they're taking too much time away from God. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my kids. Would you do that? Of course you wouldn't. What would you do? You would personally grow. You would increase your capacity. You would be able to learn to handle both. You wouldn't dump God and you wouldn't dump your kids, right? And so that's just mental sissies. That's just mental weakness. And so you have to learn to grow. You have to be able to learn to focus. Number 8, stick-to-itiveness. It is a word. I looked it up. Stick-to-itiveness means that you have the ability to stick to it, like to not give up, that never give up, never give in mentality. And I just know that, again, you're going to go through very hard times. really hard times. You're going to have times that you do want to quit. You do want to give up. You may have times that you just really are so down and so sad and so angry and so frustrated. But that stick-to-itiveness means no matter what happens, I'm not going to give up. I may be tired, so take a nap, take a rest, right? Go to the spa, do whatever you have to do, but don't quit. Don't give up. You know, that stick-to-itiveness is like, hey, I said I'm going to do something. I'm going to deliver. I'm doing this for my family. They're counting on me. I've already declared my intentions to everyone I know of what my goals and dreams are. And I'm not going to give up no matter what. And some tough stuff has happened to us. There's been plenty of nights that I've been in tears about the business, about things that are going on in my family life. And there's nothing that will make us quit on our dreams and goals and our family. So that stick-to-itiveness is just something that it's even more than focus. It's a decision that's made that you're planting your flag, that no matter what happens, grass is not greener anywhere else. This is it. This is where my family, this is my baby. This is where my family's dreams are going to come true. Number 9, there's only 10 points here, but number 9, and this is such a big one. If you want to have what we have, if you want to have this dream life, this dream business that, again, recession proof, pandemic proof, your family's not phased, you live in a bubble. And along the way, even when you're starting out, even in the very beginning when you're broke, number 9 is you got to save money. You got to save money. You got to save big money. One of my mentors when I was new in the business said, Jamie, how much money do you have saved? And I was so proud, I'm like, well, we're paying off our debt and we have 30,000 saved. And I thought that was huge. And I was so proud of myself. And he said, 30,000, call me when you have 100,000 saved. And he hung up on me. I'm like, whoa. And he's the nice one. His name's Monty Home. He's super nice. And he was like so direct with me, like 30,000, call me when you have 100,000 saved. So I remember calling up Monty and I said, Monty, I have 100,000 saved. He's like, that's it? Call me when you have 250 saved. And I was like, geez, Monty's supposed to be the really caring, sweet, nice one. But he kept challenging me in that area to save money, save money. I have another mentor named Rich who said, Jamie, look, you have to have $1 million cash saved. And he said, do not upgrade your lifestyle. Do not get a bigger car or bigger house, nothing until you have $1 million cash saved. And I remember being at about $250,000 income and having some money saved and doing pretty good. And I was going to buy this townhouse, right? We were living in a 600 square foot apartment. And my sister was going to come live with us and I was going to buy this townhouse. And so I was writing up a purchase agreement to buy this townhouse. And this guy Rich called me and he said, Jamie, what are you doing? It's like he could read minds or something, but he said, Jamie, what are you doing? And I'm sitting in my office and he said, what are you doing right now? And I said, oh, I'm writing up this purchase agreement. I found this townhouse. It's a great deal. And I started telling him all about it and I was all excited. He said, oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds really cool. Well, you could do that or you could become financially independent, whichever one's more important. And so, of course, I ripped up that purchase agreement, threw it in the trash, started making phone calls, trying to get my next, appointment lined up. And so that's the deal. Save money. And I didn't buy our first home until we were CEO in our company, making a very solid over $500,000 income. But you know what? No matter what, I've been around during 9/11. I've been around during 2008 financial crisis. And now we've always lived well below our means. We've always saved big money. Even in 2008, and it's the only time that our income actually went down a little bit. We never had to skimp, save, cut back on anything because we were already living so well below our means. We still had tens of thousands of dollars going into savings every month at that point. So you need to have monthly savings goals, annual savings goals. You need to have a part of your business plan and you need to become financially independent. The point of a business is to make money, but it's not just to make money. You need to have a finish line, like an end zone. And that end zone is not that, you got recognition and you got some plaques and you got to whatever. No, the end zone is you are set for life and so are the generations after you. My success is multi-generational at this point. And so I love that. I love that peace of mind. I don't want to live in the eye of the hurricane with drama going around all the time and worry. I want peace of mind. I want my family and my faith to come first. And the number 10 is big vision and faith. You need to have a huge vision that you're selling to your family and to your teammates and all of your colleagues of where you're going, where your business is going, you know, what difference it's going to make in the lives of others. It should take on this passionate dream telling crusade mentality where you are, you know, like I said, like it's more than a business. It's something that like people are drawn to because of this huge vision. And it's so big that if they follow you, they feel like they can win too, just by kind of being around you or hanging on to your coattails. And then the faith, like you have to sell that to yourself over and over again. That's my favorite chapter in Think and Grow Rich, is the chapter on faith, that if you believe it, you can achieve it. And so you have to put yourself in a position to be able to believe it by your associations, by doing it over and over again, being at big events and other things that could be, you know, life-changing or vision stretching. Continue to work on your vision and continue to work on your belief that you can have these things. And if you believe it, you will have it. So I'll show you just one more thing real quick. So that's the things I just talked about. Make a decision, know your why, have a plan, 100% honesty and integrity, serving others, constant self-development, emotional stability, monster work ethic and focus, stick to it, save money, and have a big vision and have faith. And then just make it happen. It's really up to you. Like you cannot make any excuses. You can't blame your, you know, trainers. You can't blame the people that you're in business with. Really, if it's going to happen, it's because of you making a decision and then just like that relentless leadership example of doing the right things consistently and not start and stop. And you will build a great business. This is our life now. You saw where I came from. Here's where we're at now. We've traveled the world. Pretty much every bucket list I can ask you guys to make, we've been there. Greece and Spain and Portugal and Paris and London and Rome and Venice. And we've been to Tahiti a few times. We've been to Hawaii 21 times with our family. That picture in the middle there with Bethany Hamilton is us vacationing with her in the Maldives. The beautiful picture on the left there is my favorite vacation spot. It's a place in Fiji called Tavarua. It's Sean, my husband Sean's favorite place to go. The picture in the bottom is the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Just these crazy once-in-a-lifetime experiences over and over again. That in the ball gowns there, that's in Vienna, Austria, at the Hofburg Palace. They picked us up in horse-drawn carriage and footmen, and we got dressed up and we had a ball at the Hofburg Palace, and we rode through the streets of Vienna and people were taking pictures of us. We rented a Lamborghini or Ferrari? I don't even remember. I think it was Ferrari on the Autobahn in Germany. You know, been to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Just again, Greece and Santorini. We rode the donkeys up, you know, the hill and saw the most beautiful sunset in Santorini, Greece. We got pictures of us and we rented a scooter in Rome. That was scary. You know, going first class and business class to Europe. Tahiti, Bora Bora. This little girl from Montana, that's me drinking out of a coconut. I just rode wave runners around Bora Bora, and then this guy climbed a tree with his bare feet, just climbed this coconut tree and took some coconuts and took a machete and handed me a coconut to drink out of. And in Bora Bora, staying in the huts where the floor, you know, your floor is the water and glass floors that you can see under. That's Tavarua, private jets. You know, Dubai was one of my favorite trips. We took our team to Dubai, and you know, we stayed at the only 7-star resort in the world and rode a camel in, I don't know, 115-degree heat. Charities, we're on the board of several charities, and this is one of my favorite charities, All for One Foundation, where a year ago we went to one of our orphanages in Uganda, and that's one of my gals, Johanna, and we were just hugging babies that just wanted to be touched and loved and hugged, and I love that. Being able to, like I said, the Kentucky Derby, just these fun experiences. We've given so much to different charitable. This is one reason I love being able to build this dream business. It's not just for you and your family, but it's the difference you can make in the lives of others. This is some of our favorite charities that we've given, you know, tens of thousands of dollars each to, but Relay for Life, you know, the American Cancer Society, All for One, Autism Speaks is one of my favorites, Make-A-Wish, Simplify is my favorite charity for the vets, Special Olympics. And my most recent favorite charity is the Operation Underground Railroad, which is human trafficking, and just the things that you can do when you pay a price and you have built a leadership team where you have influence and you have money guys, you know, some of you guys have had some degree of success in your life, but there's so much more. You keep personally developing and you keep working and you keep staying focused. Again, there's two of you. There's the guy or gal that is and the one that is to be. And you can grow still, and you can still be that second better version of yourself. And so keep building, keep working, keep paying the price. Yeah, sometimes you feel like very comfortable or maybe burnt out. I don't burn out. I take care of my health. I take care of my faith and family first, and I'm ready to work all the time. Now we've built our dream life, and this may not be your dream life, but I'll tell you, you got to figure out what yours is. This was mine. We have 8.5 acres in Southern California, which is kind of rare. That's our home. Our kids get to go out and ride their dirt bikes, and right now they're on our archery. We have a shooting range and an archery range, and that's our pool. Southern California Pools built our California Pools built our pool, and then they said that was the biggest single family residence pool that they've built. So during this COVID-19, our kids have not had to, I mean, they're outside, they're playing, they're having fun. We have an in-ground trampoline, gigantic in-ground trampoline that they're on all the time, or they built a tree house, a second tree house during this quarantine. And so they're always out there playing. This was my dream life. I wanted to build, we're behind two gates, totally safe and secure. I wanted a home that invited the spirit, that I didn't have to worry about my kids riding bike out front, or, you know, who might come by. And again, this was our dream life. And again, yours might be completely different, and that's totally fine. But you just have to figure out and get very clear. Clarity is your best friend on what you want. So I am so grateful to John. I'm grateful to that book, Think and Grow Rich. It's still my favorite book in business. I know that it's the principles in there. If you apply them, they work. I've used it. I've used it in business. I've used it in income levels. I've used it in promotion goals. I've used it in my health goals. I had a health issue where they said I had lupus and an incurable disease, and I just applied the things that I learned from business and Think and Grow Rich. And I set a date. I set a goal to be healthy. And I've been autoimmune for years. Autoimmune free for years. I'm not sick. I haven't been sick. So I'm very grateful for so many things right now. And I know things are hard, but you have so many things to be grateful for. I want to challenge you to make that list of 20 or 25 things that you're most grateful for right now. Cut out some of the negative people, associations, and especially the media temporarily. Stay focused, stay strong, do the next right thing, and just keep doing it. Be relentless until you have that dream life that you want for your family and hopefully for generations. So thanks for the time that you had me on today, John. I really am excited, and I love spending time with you.
Wow, you guys, mic drop. Do you guys, anybody want some of that toilet paper? You'll notice it's all gone because I think you guys are all using it to wipe off your tears right now. Wow, Jamie, always delivering a very powerful, emotional message every single time. Jamie, I just want to ask you a couple questions. First of all, just so you guys know, I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint here. Hang on one second. I hope you guys got today's, let's see here, as Jamie just alluded to, the word of the day. All right, everyone, you got to use this today in a sentence. Remember in elementary school, whenever you learned a new word,
I told you it was a word.
You got to look up the word and you got to use it in a sentence, right? Stick-to-itiveness, folks. You got to use that as the word of the day, man. It's just like mad dog perseverance, all right? So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to make sure that you guys follow Jamie on, where did it go? Here it is. So follow her on, you guys can see that down there on YouTube. Jamie has really taken the initiative with her video team, her social media team. She's trying to go out there and build more content to give you guys more information. And I think that it would be very unfortunate if you guys did not follow her on YouTube, as her and her team are uploading tons of new videos and content. She's going and interviewing some amazing success stories. She's also dropping some major serious nuggets right here on her Instagram feed. So follow her on both Instagram and on her YouTube channel, everyone. And Jaime, I just wanted to, for some people right now, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I know some fans of yours have some questions for you too. One is, I don't know if you remember, but I know a lot of people that are new to our industry, they're not from the financial service industry, they might be coming from some other industry. And they have this question like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can go into the financial service industry. And I remember you kind of said, John, I don't, like, the numbers is not my thing. I'm not like a financial guru when you first started, but I know you watched me several times do presentations, and then you kind of mimicked it. And then there was one time, I don't know if you remember, but I kind of set you up because I said, Jaime, you're going to do this one on your own. And because I got another appointment. Do you remember that? And I kind of left. Do you remember that at all?
So, okay. So when I came in, you guys, I knew nothing. And John used to joke, and he'd say that in his interview of me, he said, you know, when he was interviewing me to bring me into the business, he said, oh, do you know what mutual funds are? No. Do you know what 401ks are? No. Do you know what CDs are? Yeah, I have a whole bunch in my car, which I don't remember that happening, but he used to joke but it was true. Like, I knew nothing. And so I told him, like, I don't know if I can do this, but I knew I should learn it because I was financially illiterate. I wanted to be able to teach my kids. I wanted to be able to retire my parents, and I needed to learn this stuff for myself. I wasn't a terrible spender, but my money was in the checking account earning nothing. So if nothing else, I wanted to come in and get a world-class financial education. But I watched John, like he said, first appointment I went out with John, and I watched in 45 minutes, he completely changed a family's life. And I was in awe. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Totally fell in love with the business. It wasn't a numbers thing. It was a helping people thing. And you'll see, like, a lot of the people that do well with us are nurses and teachers and athletes and just people that just want to be better and have a better quality of life and have a big heart to help people. But I fell in love with it. But I also watched in 45 minutes. He took home in one night what I was taking home working a month at my job. But I thought, gosh, John is so awesome. I don't know if I could do it like him. I don't know if I could be as good as he's so charismatic and he's so good at people. But by the fifth appointment, because of our system, because how we run our business, by the fifth appointment watching John, I was like, John, I could do this. I could probably do it better than you. You're so funny with all your jokes and stuff. I could probably just relate to people and do just as good of a job. So what John had done was he had poured belief in me that I could do it too. And because our system is so simple. So, you know, if someone comes in here, honestly, you know, someone told me the other day, they said, I don't know, Jaime, if I could love it because it's financial, and I don't know if I love financial. And I'm like, hey, or I said, I don't know if I could be a salesperson. I said, do you think I'm a salesperson? I'm not a salesperson. I don't even have any formal sales training at all. You know, my sales training is treat them like you would treat your sister. That's what I tell my guys, right? But I'm not a salesperson. I'm in the business of changing lives, and I love it. I couldn't do anything else. So I wouldn't be too worried about the financial stuff. I mean, we can teach people that in a couple of weeks. What I can't teach people is to be a good guy if you're a jerk, when you're unethical. That we just have a hard time, you know, beating out of people. But like I said, the financial stuff I can teach pretty quickly.
Yeah, and there was one time, if you remember, in a conference room, we were sitting in there together, and we had do you remember that at all?
That was horrible. Okay, so I'd watched John do the presentation. You know, he's like magic. No matter what he says, everything he touches turns to gold. And so I had booked an appointment, and he was supposed to do it. And I called him. I'm like, hey, the guy's here. Where are you at? And he goes, oh, I'm running late. Sorry, you're going to have to do it yourself. And so I'm in this little conference room, no windows, trying to do this presentation. And I had a cheat sheet, right? So I had this legal pad, and I had, like, on the back of the legal pad taped, like, the 5 steps, right, that you're supposed to do. So I kept cheating. I kept looking, and I was doing a pretty good job, I thought. And John walked in and sat down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so I started sweating, and my hands were shaking, and I was so nervous. And I got through the appointment, and I did it, and I got it a result and everything. But yeah, that was hard. But you know what? I'm glad he did that to me. He made me do it on my own, because it's not, like I said, it's not that difficult. Sometimes we have a hard time just stepping up, and we're trained, but we're scared. And it's just our own fears. And you got to get over your own, like, little fear, and just, you know, if you want to be successful, you got to get uncomfortable. And I was so uncomfortable, you guys. Like I said, I was sweating. It was the worst. But I'm glad he did that to me.
Yeah. And by the way, the end result is, by the way, you guys, even though it was her first time that she actually did that on her own, she closed, right? She actually got the positive result. And so whatever you guys are thinking of right now, you have to have faith in yourself that you could do this. Like, and you don't give yourself a chance. And so that's why a lot of you aren't going to take that step forward. But if you just give yourself a chance, you're going to surprise yourself and go, dang, I should have done this a long time ago. I could have, should have, would have, right? The other thing about Jaime, you guys, is she demanded her leadership's time. She demanded, she wanted to win so bad. She didn't sit back and wait for the leader to come to her. She went to the leader. And I remember, like, after every training or event, the people would surround me, and it was like a wall of people around me, like a circle. Like, I was in, it was kind of like the game of dodgeball. Do you guys remember that game where everybody surrounds you in a circle and there's like one person in the middle? That's kind of how it was. But Jaime was so aggressive and hungry, and I mean aggressive in a good way, right? Where she'd go, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And you know what Jaime did is that she took my time. Does that make sense? And that's what I want you guys to do with your leadership. I want you to go to your mentors and your coaches and your SMDs, your what they call senior marketing directors. Jaime, you want to add a few comments on that? Why you did that?
One thing when I was new, you notice I wasn't like the loudest. I wasn't the one that said, oh, watch my smoke or anything, but I was very observant. And I knew who knew what they were talking about, that were leaders. And so I wanted to be around the leaders. And so I'd be the first one into the office and the last one to leave. And so by being the first one there and the last one to leave, when John would come in, I had him to myself just for a few minutes to walk from the door to the office, asking my questions. Last to leave, John was always there too. And so I would ask him questions. But yeah, like John said, after these like training events and stuff, people would swarm him around his desk and, asking questions, whatever. But what I did instead was I kind of went through the crowd. I grabbed back then it was like a BlackBerry, like his planner, his calendar, and I grabbed it off his desk and I would take it with me to the other room and I would put all my appointments in, right? And then I would put it back on his desk. And so then, if they were giving him appointments or things to do or whatever, then they had to book around me. And so if I was on John's team, base shop, whatever you would want to call it, right now, you guys wouldn't have a chance. He wouldn't even know your name. He'd spend all of his time with me. And because why? Because I would be 100% coachable all of the time and I wouldn't waste his time. But I always put my appointments first in the calendar. Then I would wait for all those people to leave. And then I had him to myself. If he was traveling, if he and Arlene were traveling to, let's say, speak at a different event, a guest speaker somewhere, I would say, oh, can I come? Can I come? Can I help you? They had little kids at the time and I'm like, can I help you with that? And so I was always kind of being in service. I said it already, service of others, but in service of your leader too. And so people used to like call me and say, hey, where's John right now? Like as if I was his assistant or something. But you know what? I knew where he was. And because I was always trying to help, always be coachable, not spend these long problematic conversations, my problems. It was always, John, here's what I did. This was the result. What do I do next? What's next, coach? So I don't know. I mean, like I said, you want to be around leaders, but you don't want to be the one that's draining them. You want to be the one that's serving them. If you want to get a leader's attention, you might think, oh, well, they're too busy for me. No, successful people want to help others. Entrepreneurs do too. And so, if there's a leader out there that you want to build a relationship with, associate, how about invest some time into figuring out what does this leader like? Maybe their family is important to them. Maybe you send them, maybe the little kids, and you send them a thing to go to, their favorite amusement park or something. I don't know. But I would send a gift to maybe someone that you want to develop a relationship with. I don't know. But it's just, I think with back then with John, I wanted to get his time. I wanted to earn his time. And so again, 100% coachable, even though I had no market moving to California from Montana. If he said book 3 appointments, I booked 3 appointments. I figured out a way to make that happen. And I always wanted to, whatever challenge the leader gives you, you want to meet that challenge and exceed their expectations. So.
Great. Awesome. All right. We're going to have 3 questions here, and then we're going to Guys, we'd love to sit with Jaime all day, but we've got a lot of wonderful things going on. We have something called the CEO Challenge that some of you guys, we would love to have you in that program. Both Jaime and I have an amazing man in our life named Rich Thawley, and he's conducting and hosting an event called the CEO Challenge right now. So, so that's going on right now. It's from 12 to like 6. Many of our leaders are on that right now, but we want you guys all there. These are a few questions, Jaime. Pretty tough, a little kind of personal, but let me, if you want to pass, just say pass, okay?
Okay.
Number one is, this is a guy named Scott. He basically said, Jaime, how would you overcome shyness, you know, when meeting strangers to try to recruit them, right?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So I was very shy. John will tell you. I was very shy, very soft-spoken. When I first came to the office, there's something called Mozone, like we're kind of like just a mixer before meet and greet type thing before the training would start. And the first time I came, I actually went to the restroom 3 times, washed my hands, went to the bathroom. If there was a plant, I'd probably be hiding behind it. I just was so uncomfortable, like just meeting strangers, talking to people. I almost didn't join the business because of that. And so I was just very, very shy. And the hardest thing to me in my business, the very hardest thing is not even calling people. It's prospecting a stranger and starting a conversation. Now, I saw John was amazing at that. Everywhere he'd go, he'd start conversations. And as good as he was and as easy as he made it look, it was still very uncomfortable. To this day, it's still a little bit uncomfortable. And so how do you get over your shyness? The first thing I would do is practice in Mozone, practice with people that are nice, that are not going to be mean to you. Meeting people, know everybody in your office, know their background so that you can introduce new people to them. But then practice everywhere you go. Like we call it the 3-foot rule. Now we have the 6-foot rule, right? So, but back then we called it the 3-foot rule, where if someone came within 3 feet of you, you talk to them, you start a conversation, and sometimes maybe you just don't get up the courage to prospect them or, talk to them about the business, but you're building a muscle. Just like when you go to the gym, you're super weak in the beginning, but you have to build that muscle. And then, you get stronger and you get stronger and it gets easier and it gets easier, right? So same thing, like you just start talking to people. And it might be the guy that you would never want to recruit. Maybe he works at Jamba Juice and he's 17 years old and he has 15 piercings in his face. And you're like, I'm never going to recruit this guy. But you still practice it. You get his phone number and you can throw it away. You know what I mean? But you're building that muscle. And so you just, it's just, you build a habit. And then just like anything, if you practice this, if you said, you know what, I'm going to try, to talk to people every day, and I'm going to try to get a new name every day, whether that be a referral from someone, a client or a family member, or from prospecting, I'm going to try to get a name every day. And I'm going to do it for 21 days straight. It takes 21 days to break a bad habit and build a good one. So, that's what I had to do. Just make myself do it, get outside my comfort zone over and over. If you don't do that, if you don't pressure yourself in whatever you're afraid of to get outside your comfort zone, you're never going to believe enough that you deserve success. And if you don't believe it, you won't achieve it. So you have to get through. Honestly, if you're feeling uncomfortable, that should be a trigger in your mind saying, oh, Jaime said that I'm going to feel this way. Do more of it. Do it. Do it. Even if you're horrible at it, do it. What's the worst thing that could happen? They're not going to cut off your arm or take your firstborn. They're just going to say, no, it doesn't physically harm you in any way. Nothing bad happens. Yep. So just got to get over it.
So that's great. Another question here from Jen. She said, have you ever used those obstacles like being diagnosed with lupus to drive you forward? And how did you do this?
I mean, I don't know if it drive me forward. It's just, I've gained mental toughness from the very beginning of just that first thing of trying to get out of my comfort zone to talk to people, to meet people. I knew when John told me to do a top 25, and some of you guys know what that means, I could come up with 8 names, guys. So I had to get past my comfort zone to talk to people. I was terrified to go in the field with clients, and I had to talk myself into it every time. Like I'd sit outside the family's home and I'd have to look at pictures of my sisters and my wives and then talk myself into it. And I'd say things, there was just like mantra I would say, it's like, no matter what, this family's going to be better off because you came. Like they're going to be better off. I don't know if they're going to become a client or what, but they're going to be better off. And I talked myself into going in because I was terrified. So I had to grow this mental toughness over and over, creating that business plan, creating my whys, creating, these things that would emotionally charge me when I didn't feel like doing it. I did it anyway. And so champions all go through hard things. You don't think like Penny Oy or John Shin had hard things happen. Of course they did. It wasn't easy for them. It wasn't always just, sunshine, rainbows, and dollars. No, it wasn't. It was like really hard things, really uncomfortable things. There was right now, for example, Sean's mom is just finished chemo. She went through radiation and chemo. Sean in our wealth bowl had to keep going back to USC because while we were in the middle of our wealth bowl, she died. She was in her first chemo treatment. She died on the table. Sean had to run to USC because they wouldn't tell him what was happening. They revived her. He was there when she opened her eyes. He came back and hosted while she was in her next surgery, went back. He didn't get any sleep during our last wealth bowl. You do it anyway. Do you understand? Like you just increase your capacity to do it anyway, even though tough things are happening. Now, the Sean that joined our business, he wouldn't have been able to do that. He would have been broke down, not being able to focus, not be able to even handle being there for his mom probably. But he's gained mental toughness. The other day, she started bleeding, pouring blood out of her mouth like a faucet. We didn't know what was going on. I called, an ambulance because none of us could get to her house in time. She was rushed to the hospital. Sean had an appointment. He still did that appointment via Zoom on the way to the hospital in Valencia. I did 2 appointments while she was, in the hospital. We could sit and fret and cry and wonder and wait for a doctor to give us some type of answer, but we still did our appointments that day. That's tenacity, that's stick-to-itiveness. And so that sounds harsh maybe, but when I was diagnosed with lupus, did I use it to fuel me? I don't know. I just said, all right, now I got to learn that. Just like I had to become a student of this business and do tough things. I could have just got on medication like everybody else does. And my kidneys still eventually probably would have failed. And I probably would have had to have a transplant, just like most lupus patients. But I decided not to. I was like, you know what? When the doctor said, you're going to have this disease for the rest of your life. We don't know what causes it. Go on this medication. Go get an eye test because the medication is going to ruin your eyes and you're never going to be able to have kids again. I thought immediately from things I learned in this business, she's negative. Don't be around negative people. I'm going to find a new doctor. That's it. And it just, boom, like I have this mind sealed tightly against all negatives, like it says in Think and Grow Rich. So instead, I said, okay, I'm going to make a goal to be healthy by this date. And then I'm going to become a student of my own body. Just like I had to become a student of financial services, just like I had to be a student of leadership and running a business. And so that's mental toughness. So I don't know if it fueled me to get better, I didn't want to learn and read all these boring books about your gut and about your body and about all these things. It's so boring. It was painful to read every one of those pages of those books, but I was motivated to improve, and so I don't know. I think that you can take a lot of things and use them as fuel. I think that if you are going to win at the highest levels, you need to be emotionally fueled. So I didn't necessarily use my sickness, but I used, I suppose I did. I remember one time when I was very, very sick, I was laying on my couch and I couldn't even get up. I was so exhausted, just completely drained of all energy. And I could hear my kids upstairs arguing, fighting. And I just was so sad because I'm like thinking, oh, you're such a bad mom. You can't even get off this couch right now to walk up those stairs. And that's going to fuel me to get better. Just like when I was starting off in this business and we were broke and we were in debt and living in that 600 square foot apartment. And my baby sister called me when my stepmom had passed out and was foaming at the mouth. And she had to throw water in her face and smack her a bunch of times to revive her. And the babies were screaming, "Mommy's dead, Mommy's dead." And I went to the bathroom after that and in my office, and I looked in the mirror and I said, you have to do something about this. You have to help your family. Stop worrying about what other people think about you. Stop. Just get to work. People are counting on you. So I think you need to have your business plan, but it should be more of an emotional game plan. And so I couldn't quit. Just to be honest, every entrepreneur has tough times where they actually go through a quitting phase where they think about it. You know, they kind of want to. They're like, you know what, 9 to 5 sounds a little bit better right now. But I couldn't quit on my sisters. I couldn't quit. Sean couldn't quit on his mom. Right. So that was, we've used those things to fuel us to get to where we are today and to get whatever it is that the goal is done.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Wow, that was very profound. Well, let's see here. I've got 3 people that asked some similar questions here, and this will be our final question, everyone. I know it's we've got, we got Jamie here in the house, or not in the house, but in our Zoom. But the question is, how much work did you do in the beginning before you started seeing results? How do you stay so structured? What is your morning, afternoon routine? Let's see. How do you manage your time? So it's kind of like 3 questions, all kind of the same, I think, is what they're asking. Similar questions. Yeah.
So, okay. So work ethic is part of winning in any business you do. You have to be focused and you have to have incredible work ethic. But in the beginning, I was working, again, I told you, first to arrive and last to leave. My kind of philosophy was, I'm not going to do anything tomorrow which can get done today. Tomorrow's work. Today's work. So, I probably got more done in a day than most people got done in maybe 3 or 4 days. People say, well, how many calls did you make in a day? As many as I could, between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. If I wasn't on an appointment, I was on a phone call, booking an appointment. So because of that work ethic, and I loved it. Like, it wasn't like people walked by my office and be like, dang, she looks miserable on the phone all day long. No, I was like, yeah, because I helped another family. It's like constant, like encouragement and excitement. We had contests, we had recognition, we had fun. And so you got to look like you're having fun. You got to love it. But I mean, it was work. It was work. And I'll tell you, Sean and I did not go on a vacation until we were making, I want to say, probably $1 million a year. I don't know. I mean, we didn't go on a vacation. We did date nights occasionally. Typically, we'd go on a date night with John and Arlene, or with another couple in our business. But we were just working. And now our company is very good at rewarding us. So they sent us to Hawaii trips, and they would send us on all these recognition trips. So we went on those trips, but we didn't go on a trip that we paid for until we were like EVCs in the company. So that just should tell you right there, our work was like, we weren't like, oh, we need a break. Like we weren't wasting money. We weren't going out to fancy restaurants. We weren't like whining and dining and traveling the world when we weren't there yet. We even when our family members saw that we were making money, they came to us like, can we borrow this? Can we borrow that? We said no. And it was hard to say no to them sometimes, especially the ones that we really, really care about. But we were coached like, look, they're going to need you. Like Sean's mom needs us right now. We pay all of her bills. She's been retired by us for a long time. She has the best health care when she's going through this cancer stuff, but it's because we worked hard in the beginning that we have everything that we have now. So morning routine, get up, read our business plan. We eat healthy. We exercise. Typically, I would say probably 5 times a week. There was stages that I was doing 7 days a week. But in the beginning, I let it slack a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to be off balance in the beginning, like laser focused, where you're a little off balance towards business. And that sounds harsh, but it's true. You know what? It's like, you got to get this thing off the ground. You got to get the traction there. You got to build it. And then you can have tracks to run on. So, I went from being totally in shape. When I started this business, they used to call me Inga because I was like pretty ripped. I worked in a gym. I worked out every day. I lifted weights every day. And I went from that to, going through drive-thrus in between, appointments, and got a little out of shape. Now, I don't recommend that. I think that you still need to, for your sanity, work out at least 3 times a week. Sorry, my 4-year-old's at the door. Mommy. Sorry. But so anyway, I just think that, you can have balance and put faith and family first, but let's have some common sense. In the building stage of this, we got to work. We got to work hard. We got to pay a price. Success demands that you pay a price. I believe it should be done upfront and in full. Otherwise, you're going to have regrets. You're going to have regrets. I don't regret getting to the office at like 8 a.m. and leaving at 2 a.m. Day after day. I don't regret any of it. I'm so grateful. There's things that will happen in your life. My daughter was going through some stuff because she had some learning challenges, and I was able to put her in this private school. She's in a regular public school now, but she was in a private school for a while. That was perfect for her. And I remember seeing her just blossom, and the things that she was doing and how happy she was and how much she loved school. And I remember driving home from this event that was there, and I was like thanking myself, like, good job. Thank you for not quitting like everybody else did and being pansies like everyone else and making excuses of why they can't work or, you know, whatever. And so when I was tired, I just did it anyways. Morning routine was pretty set. We didn't sleep in. We got up, we read our business plan, we took a shower, and we were at the office making phone calls by 9 a.m. typically. 9 to 11 was typically phone call time, booking appointments, and then I was doing one-on-ones, field training in the evening. So I don't know if that answers all of your questions, but that's kind of, my thought on that. I just see that people negotiate the price of success so much. Like, they'll be like, I'm all in, this is what I want, here's my whys. And then once things get tough, work is hard, they say, oh, well, I don't know if this is really worth it. Is it worth the time away from my kids? Is it worth the late nights? Is it worth the frustration? It's worth it if you're going to be big. It's worth it if you want to build your dream life. It's worth it when you get there, I promise you. So.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Jaime. That was an incredible interview, presentation, discussion, whatever you guys want to call it. A lot of you have been texting and making comments. Is this going to be available? It is going to be available on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But also, again, if you joined us a little bit later, this will be available. Also, follow Jaime on YouTube, and you can follow her on Instagram.
Yeah.
So just tune in.
John, at least weekly, I'll put tips for entrepreneurs, and also a lot for like moms or women in the business. But there's a lot for entrepreneurs every week on Instagram and YouTube. So.
Yeah, I mean, and it's valuable, you guys, and it's free. So go follow her and get all the content. I know you guys are now up on your feet. Let's give a big round of applause for Jaime on the very bottom. Little thumbs up, whatever you guys do, hands up. There you go. You see all the participants raising their hand. That's awesome. Jaime, we love you. Thank you so much for being a part of our webinar this afternoon. You're awesome. Just continue to do what you do. Be safe out there. Give all the hugs to the kids for us. All right?
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Jaime. Take care.
No problem. Bye.
You guys, if you guys take a moment, just send her a message somehow on her Instagram, and just make a few posts about today. We'd appreciate that. This afternoon, just so you guys know, in 45 minutes or so, we're going to be starting our Fast Start School at 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock. I've got 4 other, let's see, is it 4? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Well, it'll be 4 total, but 3 other speakers that are top-notch leaders that are going to be coming in and speaking from 1 to 5. So take about a 45-minute break, go and grab a quick bite to eat, or breakfast, brunch, whatever it is, and be in for an action-packed afternoon. And you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us. Until next Tuesday, please join us at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. God bless everyone. Have a wonderful, productive weekend. Thanks.